funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday. Get the microphone over there. On the Evil FB Network, YouTube. Catch us, check us out, subscribe. Type in IE Newswire. You'll get my nice, smiling, shining face. Of course, we'll join the mighty bit. 1490 a.m. at the bottom of the hour on this Independence Day Eve. Tokyo, Japan has already fired off their fireworks in celebration of the United States and the 250th year of the creation of the greatest country in the history of the world. We'll get to Gavin Newsom. Is he in a political noose? More the Dana Hammer, the Williamson, Javier Baccaria, Sean McCluskey, Campbell situation is coming to light, and some new information on who was thinking out who in that whole situation, and what maybe in the days to come. The political intrigue is enormous. But are we going to let ourselves go commie after 250 years? We hope not. We're going to fight like hell to prevent it. Man, Fiesta Village in Colton closing down. We'll have the story on that after 50 years. Plus, in business. But as you saw, lead story of the day, a bold, badass day in history. This is a day after they had voted to ratify the Declaration of Independence, as I'm wearing the shirt, we the people. This is the day they were putting it together, and of course, John Hancock and all those that signed it, Thomas Jefferson, who penned the Declaration of Independence. They were getting everything together for everybody and collecting all the signatures today and tomorrow when the day is official, that they said, you know what, we're going to kick King George's ass or we're going to hang trying. And there's not much. Well, at least in my book, and most people have lived in the good old USA. You really have nothing unless you have your freedom. We tried the whole, oh, we're just going to put everything into a pile, collectivism, communism. Those who came over from overseas and immigrated prior to 1776 were starving to death under this whole, oh, everything's going to be, we're going to put everything in a pie and we're all going to split it up equally. Well, everybody was starving to death. That's where the 3%ers came from. And it was just 3%. In 1776, it said, not no, but hell no. I wrote this on July 3rd, 2017, 9 years ago, on this day. As you see, the Declaration of Independence, 4th of July, 1776. The 4th of July is about freedom. Your freedom, and a freedom that has become the backbone of the world. The Fab Five. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Ben Franklin, Robert Livingstone, Roger Sherman drafted the document that said life, your existence, liberty, freedom is the essence of life, pursuit of happiness, your ability to live your life as you see fit and be prosperous. Remember, the government is we the people, not the other way around. We have some challenges coming up. The commies are in full-blown takeover, and they're executing their plan as we've laid out. The question we're going to explore on the rest of today's show, or most of it, is, are we going on the 250th anniversary of the creation of the greatest history in the greatest country in the history of the world? Are we going to let it dwindle into communist dictatorship morass? That's where we're at as we celebrate here in less than 7 hours, all of Saturday. Come Sunday, we know what's ahead of us, and we better be prepared. 1,000%. We better be prepared because we're getting hit with an onslaught. We have allies here and abroad. We have enemies here and abroad. But it's all about this.
Flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American.
We should all be proud on this day to be American. Just think of the privilege it is. Only less than 5% of the world's population is in the United States of America. Yet we're almost 50% of the economic power engine, military power, and it all started 250 years ago tomorrow. That power comes with a lot of responsibility. One, the responsibility not to abuse it, like King George was of England 250 years ago, and the list is endless, almost it seems today, and even in our own country. People get frustrated. People say, yeah, look at them. I don't have. And I get it. I want that opportunity. I had that opportunity. I know the future generations want to see it. They're getting frustrated. They're not. That doesn't mean you don't go back to what doesn't work. And we need to learn from history. Don't repeat the mistakes of the past. Build on the successes. And I guess that's my big message, and what I wrote 9 years ago, which I started the show with. We have the greatest opportunity, no matter what we're doing, right or wrong, no matter who is in office, from the sewer cleaning commissioner to the president of the United States. We have the best opportunity to be all that you can be ever in the history of the world in the United States of America today. Tokyo, where it is already July 4th, is already celebrating America's Independence Day because we saved Japan from itself in World War II and the kamikaze pilots and their dictatorship. And now Japan is prosperous because, and they understand because, mostly, and even 100% of this subsect, because we gave them the opportunity to do it. They capitalized on it. But here's the fireworks show celebrating 250 years of USA independence. And you're hearing it in the background. Those from Tokyo, Japan. Again, that's from Tokyo, Japan. They're celebrating USA independence with the red, white, and blue and the fireworks. A thank you to America. Coming to you live from Tokyo, Japan. It's up to us. We should be appreciative that we do have allies that recognize our spot in the world today. It's some of the most heartening and privilege, and as I said, responsibility to be living in these times, and especially to be living in the good old USA. Because this is what it was like 250 years ago. Breaking news. 72 killers resisting gun confiscation in Massachusetts. No, 72 killed. Oh, the dyslexia is clicking in. 72 killed resisting gun confiscation in Massachusetts. National Guard units seeking to confiscate a cache of recently banned assault weapons were ambushed by elements of a paramilitary extremist factions. Military and law enforcement sources estimate that 72 were killed and more than 200 injured before government forces were compelled to withdraw. Speaking of the clash, Massachusetts Governor Thomas Gage declared the extremist faction, which was made up of local citizens, has links to the radical right-wing tax protest movement. Gage blamed the extremists for recent incidents of vandalism directed against internal revenue offices, the governor, who described the group's organizers as criminals, issued an executive order authorizing summary arrest, and any individual who interfered with the government's efforts to secure law and order. The military raid on the extremist arsenal followed widespread refusal by the local citizenry to turn over recently outlawed assault weapons. Gage issued a ban on military-style assault weapons and ammunition earlier in the week. The decision followed a meeting earlier in the month between the government and military leaders, at which the government authorized a forcible confiscation of illegal arms. One government official, speaking on condition of anonymity, pointed out that none of these people would have been killed had the extremists obeyed the law and turned over their weapons voluntarily. Government troops initially succeeded in confiscating a large supply of the outlawed weapons and ammunition. However, troops attempting to seize arms and ammunition in Lexington met with resistance from heavily armed extremists who had been tipped off regarding the government's plans. During the tense standoff in Lexington Town Park, National Guard Colonel Francis Smith, comrades of the government operation, ordered the armed group to surrender and return to their homes. The impasse was broken by a single shot, which was reportedly fired by one of the right-wing extremists. 8 civilians were killed in the onslaughting exchange. Ironically, the local citizenry blamed the government forces rather than the extremists for the civilian deaths. Before order could be restored and armed citizens from surrounding areas had descended upon the guard units, Colonel Smith, finding his forces overmatched by the armed mob, ordered a retreat. Governor Gage had called upon his citizens to support the state national joint task force in its effort to restore law and order. The governor also demanded the surrender of those responsible for planning and leading the attack against the government troops. Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, who had been identified as the ringleaders of the extremist faction at large. And this, my fellow Americans who do not know your history, this is how the American Revolution began in 1775. So it was a little more than a year. It was a little more than a year before the Declaration of Independence was signed that these radical extremists, Samuel L. Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, whose signatures famously on that Declaration of Independence, which will be celebrating the 250th year of that tomorrow, were known as the ringleaders of the extremist faction that said, no, you're not railroading over us. John Hancock, Samuel Adams, Paul Revere, Thomas Jefferson, told Gage, Colonel Smith, King George of England, shove it up your ass. We're either going to kick your ass or die trying, just like we did a year ago. You tried taking our weapons away. Remember the assault weapons? This assault weapon crap is over 250 years old. And if there wasn't for guys like with balls, like Sam Adams, Paul Revere, and John Hancock, and many others, and 72 which were willing to give up their lives, for you to have the right to keep and bear arms, Because the main reason that Second Amendment is, and the reason Adams, Rivera, and Hancock were fighting in 1775, April 20, was because they knew that was the only thing keeping your freedom. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or you being a slave. So, as the old adage, those that don't know history are doomed to repeat it. Edmund Burke, his famous saying. This is why the true outlaws, the true right-wing extremists, stand up each and every day. Because we want to take the honor of those 72 that died back in April 20th, 1775. And the 1.5 million that have fought, bled, and died for us to have the opportunity we have today. And to think some of us just want to give that up. Or think that going back to the communist way is going to fix everything. Here's Liz Barracuda on what the story is with Alex Michelson. Here we go.
Democratic Socialists started, they knew, and they say this openly, they knew that they couldn't start their own socialist party. So the plan always was to be an insurgency movement within the Democratic Party and take it over. And they are doing just that in front of our eyes. Mamdani this week froze the rents. You know, when you do that...
Promise to do that?
Well, of course, and he's delivering on his promises. None of this is a surprise.
People like it based off of the polling.
Well, so far, I mean, they think they like it, but when you freeze the rents, you constrict supply, right? And then rents elsewhere go up. Landlords cannot make ends meet, and you villainize the landlords who are the people providing the housing that you say that you're trying to provide to the people. It doesn't make sense because
you have to save people from themselves. Yeah, everybody say, if you say, yeah, I'm going to take some, there's nothing free. I'm going to take something from somebody else and give it to you. Oh yeah, that sounds great.
1 minute, Roy.
Until you run out of people that have anything to give to you, and then you're in deep doo-doo, as George Poppy Bush said. We'll be joining the Mighty Met KMET, as Sean said, here in a few seconds. Pick up more on this Independence Eve Day. 250 years ago, they were putting together the ratified document of the Declaration of Independence for the final signatures that ink tomorrow.
30 seconds.
And we'll be celebrating that as Japan is celebrating our independence as a thank you for what we have, the opportunities we have given them. We should not take those for granted. And those who have given us this opportunity, we should fight like we've never fought before.
Here we go. 10 seconds.
Lily hoedown around.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday Live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band, joining our vast video audience on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire, Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. We went back and looked at the Declaration of Independence, signed 250 years ago tomorrow, creating the greatest country in the history of the world, giving all of us today, the 350 million living here, our freedom, giving you life, your existence, liberty, freedom, and the essence of life, pursuit of happiness, your ability to live your life as you see fit and be prosperous. I wrote those words this day 9 years ago. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Ben Franklin, Robert Livingston, Roger Sherman drafted the greatest political document in the history of the world. Tomorrow, as we say, is a bold, badass day in history. Those guys laid it on the line. Like a year before, in April 20th of 1775, John Adams, Paul Revere, and the right-wing extremists said, no, you're not taking our guns. They told Governor Gage, stuff it up your rear end. That was over a year before the Declaration of Independence. And those outlaws said no. And you know what they were classified as? Assault weapons. 72 gave their lives that day, April 20th, 1775. But the mob, as it was described by the government, came in and reinforced Adams, Revere, and the outlaws. Said, you know, we just overwhelmed your rear ends. And the government backed up. This is before a Second Amendment. This is before the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That right there says it all. And we don't want to be, or at least my contention is, we don't want to be the ones who give that up.
Flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American.
I can't think of much, anything better than you can say is, I'm proud to be an American. We uphold tomorrow the great grand history, the toughness, the sacrifice, the not backing down, doing what's right. And we should never, ever forget that. The American Creed. Here's another thing most people do not know about. This is from C.C. Truman, who has ran for Congress many times out here in the IE. Here we go.
A vital document written by William Tyler Page in 1917. It passed the U.S. House of Congress on April the 3rd, 1918, to promote patriotism and civic duty. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies. Blessed is a nation whose God is truly their Lord. Psalm 33:12.
So that was the American Creed. Back in the day, back in the 1900s. Most people, again, do not know the significance of history. We should not give that up. We should have pride in the USA. We should obey its laws, come together, support the flag of the United States of America. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. We are one. The United States of America, not the divided States of America. And if the government gets out of hand like it did in April 20th, 1775, said, oh, you have to turn in your assault weapons. And the ringleaders of the right-wing extremists, outlaws, said not no, but hell no. A little over a year later, of course, that Declaration of Independence was signed and ratified. Well, it was ratified on the 2nd. They put together the final deal, got all the signatures, and had it done on July 4th, 1776. And here we are today. We're still hearing that, oh, you got to turn in your assault weapons, or oh, the communist, Mandami, buffoon baths, Nithian ramen, and a lot of points in between. We're seeing it in Denver. We're seeing it in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, Texas. You're seeing the Democratic Party and the Democratic Communists taking over the reins of power of all of our big cities. Johnson in Chicago. You got the Portland and Seattle nutcase mayors. At least San Francisco, they got rid of London Breed, Chelsea Bodine, the mayor, the communist mayor, and district attorney, and at least tried peeling stuff back. Recalled their school board. In San Francisco is actually turning itself around, while Los Angeles is digging deeper in the abyss. Like Dallas, like New York City, like Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be some interesting times, to say the least. Of course, in the Times Change department, as we undo so many times, Fiesta Village in Colton, long time, been there over 50 years. I know it opened in the early 70s. Announces permanent closure after more than 50 years. The famed water slide part there by the 215 freeway there in Colton. Going down the tubes. Now, the owners or the operators have not given, or at least haven't seen a reason why. There's a new hotel going up next to it. Maybe they got bought out. Maybe just nobody's going there, or it's not financially viable anymore. We'll dig more into it, but it's a sad day. You know, are kids just looking at their 3x5 screens and they don't go to the water slide or the park anymore, or not in enough numbers to keep places like Fiesta Village alive? We need to look at a lot of what we're doing in today's ever fast-changing world, or are we circling back to what we once were? We shall see. Gav's ally wore a wire. FBI mic'd up Newsom crony in the Sacramento corruption probe, as you see from the California Post. Exclusive, FBI infiltrated Newsom's inner circle by convincing governor's ally to wear a wire. Comes from an attorney tied to the case by Josh Cohen. FBI had a mole inside Governor Gavin Newsom's political orbit before the agency's corruption probe expanded into the governor and his wife, the Post has learned. Democratic insider Alexis Podesta, 45, secretly recorded conversations during a criminal probe into Newsom's then chief of staff, Dana the Hammer Williamson, 53, who pleaded guilty to federal fraud and tax charges in May. According to Williamson's attorney, the revelation she was wearing a wire as far back as June 2024 explains why a swath of Sacramento political insiders and lobbyists were stunned to receive FBI letters last fall informing them that their phone calls had been intercepted during the investigation, despite many having little or no connection to Williamson. Alexis wore a wire, Dana did not, said McGregor Scott, Williamson's lawyer and former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of California. It was said disclosure comes as Newsom announced last month he and his wife, whose nonprofit had been burning through money in recent years, as well as members of the governor's inner circle, are under federal investigation. Within hours of the announcement, Newsom blasted out the email that we saw a couple of weeks ago. Josh Hoover said, "Hey, I got a letter, even though I've never talked to any of these cats." A separate FBI source with knowledge of the matter said they knew of 4 Sacramento insiders who also received FBI notifications confirming they had been recorded. So now they have the answer as to why. The governor accused Trump of doing this, but sources familiar with the matter told the Post that the federal investigation have spent the past year digging into not only Newsom, but also his staff and his wife taxes, including Jenny Poo, wifey's, accused Trump of having no boundaries. Whistleblowers reportedly tipped off the feds to launch the probe into Newsom, and Williamson's attorney told the Post that his client declined to cooperate because she had no information on Newsom. Podesta, a longtime Democratic power broker, remains in the California State Compensation Insurance Board, where she receives $61K a year after Newsom appointed her in 2020. She previously served as Secretary of California Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency and has held senior positions in Jerry Brown's administration. She also worked for PG&E and Disney and was the calendar lady for the late Senator Dianne Feinstein. Podesta has not been charged with a crime, but her attorney, Bill Portavina, have identified her as the uncharged co-conspirator described in the Williamson indictment and confirmed she had cooperated with federal investigators. The governor's office declined the Post's request for comment. Podesta is saying it is a personal matter. Podesta and her attorney did not respond to requests for comments. Of course, we know Dana the Hammer Williamson's pleaded guilty, so is Sean McCluskey and Campbell, on the scheme that bagged $225,000 out of Javier Bacaria's campaign accounts and paid McCluskey when he was chief of staff, or that's the allegations, and that's what they've pled guilty to. The more intriguing part is this. And while the behest payments may be legal under California law, you better report your taxes or you could be looking at federal charges. We shall see how this all works out. Gavin Newsom likes to claim we're number one. In California,
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
Just when you thought Gavin Newsom couldn't say anything dumber, he goes and says something just like that. The fine people that brought you Gavin Newsom's greatest hits and Swalwell stinkers proudly presents Gavin Newsom's Greatest Hits, Volume 2.
We promote and celebrate and reward the employee that screws up the most.
We want to go after those organized teams of folks.
You have more resources than ever, and you have more support than ever, so it's time to do your job. But you know what? You got to control the controllables. You got to control what you have to control. I made a bad mistake. Instead of sitting down, I should have stood up. I try to walk my kids to the park and have a difficult time navigating the sidewalk.
$380 later, and I was like, why am I spending $380? Everyone can walk the hell right out.
And who could forget these classic Newsom tantrums?
Off the record, I'm amazingly disappointed. Amazingly. I just am, personally, you know?
Thank you very much. That was a great cheap shot.
You can't help yourself.
Gavin Newsom's Greatest Hits Volume 2 can be yours for only $19.95. But wait, there's more. Act now and get Gavin Gets Wrecked absolutely free.
No access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
This is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco.
If you can't trust Gavin with his best friend's wife, how can you trust him with your state?
Order.
Order Gavin Newsom's Greatest Hits from the capital of Sacramento. Of that, it's absolutely 1,000%. That comes from Kevin Dalton. Look at all the number ones. Number one in vagrants, in fraud, in poverty, in retail crime, highest gas prices, illiteracy, wage stagnation, frivolous lawsuits, unemployment, restrictions on workers, anti-business regulations, number one in income tax and gas tax and budget deficit, in COVID, school, shutdowns, COVID, business, shutdowns, COVID mandates, illegal border crossings. Oh, we're not done. Oh, man. Funding for illegal immigrants, people leaving the state. What a reputation. It's symptomatic of some of the very you don't think a commie take over 75% of our legislature is communist? We have communist governor, communist statewide offices. In California, do not let the cancer of California spread across the other 49 states. It's some of the race report. Don't think motorsports is a tough biz. Check this.
Uderzy właśnie Furysza, on już Furysz tutaj bez kontroli jeszcze uderza Ratajczaka, jak uderzył.
Speedway motorcycle racing over in Europe. As we say, you don't think it's a tough business. ES Sprints last lap. Flow Racing. We go.
The money lap. Here are the Empire Super Sprints E-main event. The driver out of Port Line in New York, the Comparing Insurance Company, CCI Companies, Ron Allen Trucking, Wadsworth Painting Company, 7 seed, your defending Speedway champion from the 6th starting spot. Dylan Swerdick wins at Utica.
Dylan Swerdick took the checkered flag out there at the Empire Super Sprints at the famous Utica Rome Speedway. Race of Champions in another at the Lancaster Speedway, very famous, long time, 50-year running track. Here's the first lap. Watch Polly the Third coming in fourth place as they're taking the green flag. Here we go.
Series, oh boy, Cup 60 going green at Lancaster. And away we go with the Blueprint Engines green flag and down the back straightaway. Jake Lutz, Jaden Harmon side by side. Paulie Hartwig, some young guns here at the front of the field. Look at Hartwig trying to go 3 wide on lap 1. And Hartwig leads.
There he is, took the lead from 4th starting spot. Took the lead on lap 1, held it green. And I got to congratulate these guys. Green, white, checkered. 60 laps. Paulie Hartwig the third led all 60 laps with that daring pass. 4th spot. Was leading coming across for the first lap and chalked off the rest of the 59 and won it. And even Matt Money Hirschman and it was a stellar field of modified drivers, but he took the lead right off. The get-go, under impossible odds, most you start 4th, you don't figure you're going to lead all 60, but that just goes to show you, never give up. Never quit digging. Never quit trying, and don't look. First rule of racing, whatever's in my rearview mirror is not my concern. From the Gumball Rally, famous movie from, well, that's over 50 years ago too, or close to it. Lot of good things to look forward to. As we celebrate tomorrow the 250th anniversary of the greatest country in the history of the world, we look forward to 250 plus years or more. And again, let's not repeat the mistakes of the past. Let's build on the successes of the past in the future. And after all the fireworks are gone and the celebrations and the barbecues and everything is over tomorrow, it's back to getting the job done. Like the right-wing extremists that said, April 20th, 1775, you're not taking our guns just because you declared them assault weapons. That's in 1775, over a year before the Declaration of Independence, where the 3%ers said, you know what, we're not living under this tyranny anymore. We're either going to win this thing or we're going to die trying. And make no mistake, King George would have hung them all. Tonight on the racing schedule, if you get on Flow Racing, you got Lincoln Tech Night at Stafford Speedway, the modifieds again. Modifieds at the famed Riverhead Speedway on Long Island in New York. It's a pavement schedule. Dirt schedule has Lucas late models from Mansfield, Ohio, and USAC Sprint Cars, the National Series at the Putt in Lincoln's Park Speedway in Indiana. So if you can't get to your local speedways not running, that's Flow Racing, Dirt Vision has World Outlaws. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Or it's time. It's Friday. We're kicking off the weekend of the 250th celebration of the United States of America. And I, for one, could be no prouder than living in this era today where we've had the best opportunity of almost anything in the history of the world. And you know what? We're not giving that up. No way, no how. That'll do it for this week. As we usually say at this time, mandatory, you're back here in 71 Hours Wide. You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The preceding was a paid program.
All right, Roy, have a good Independence Day.
You got it.
Take care.
We'll see you.